What's up, everybody? Coming to you live for the first time in a couple weeks from my parents' house. We got episode 19 of the Changavi Aftershow. Welcome to those of you that are new. My name is Anuj. I am the host. My last name is the name of the show, so you should probably know that by now. For those of you that are old, welcome back. It's nice to be back. It's been a busy couple of weeks here, so it's been rough to, kind of get into a routine of things. But I found some time today. I got lucky and fortunate that I have, some time, and I figured what better way to use that time than to record a full episode. So, yeah, I'm recording this on Friday, by the way. The episode should come out sometime at the beginning of next week. But I'm just saying that in terms of like time. So if you see this a few weeks from now, you're not too confused. It's May 27th today. So if we get new information or, this information that I'm saying on this seems outdated, that it was recorded on May 27th. But anyway, that doesn't matter, right? We got an after show. And for those of you that don't know, the after show is very much just me like shooting the shit, being casual, talking crap, being serious at points, but most of the time just being funny and talking about various things that I've noticed and I've been thinking about because I don't really have a space to do so. So it's basically an unfiltered therapy session about all my problems in life. No, but that's the Changavi After Show. If you guys are looking for a more polished version of me, that's the Changavi Show. I'll be releasing way more episodes about that. I got plenty in the works, got to record a bunch. So get excited for what is to come in regards to that. But for now, I'm recording the Changavi After Show. Don't take anything I say here as fact. Most of this is opinion. And don't cite me in research papers, please, for the love of God. Most of the statistics presented here are mostly speculative or have been found on the internet once or twice. So do not cite research papers. If you want to cite me in a research paper, check out the Changavi Show. But anyway, let's get into it. I'm going to start this on a more serious note because obviously there are people right now who are who are grieving. It's been a tough week. Those of you that know that have been in America and have been following the news, which I highly doubt there isn't anyone that doesn't know at this point. There was a mass shooting that took place in Texas this Tuesday, in Uvalde, to be more specific, at an elementary school where I believe 21 people were killed, 19 of which were students and 2 teachers, in an awful, awful act of, dare I say it, domestic terrorism. And it was terrible. It was terrible. We're coming out, we're finding out new details, continuously, hour by hour, kind of how it rolls with these situations. And the news agencies are reporting all the various facts and various different things and talking to victims' families and all of that stuff. And it's been heartbreaking stuff coming out of Uvalde. It truly has been. This was a working class community that got hit by an absolute tragedy. And there's no positive silver lining in any of this. It's just truly a traumatic event that happened earlier this week. That being said, the media is covering this issue in their own way. They always do. They're covering this mass shooting. Oh, we need to be outraged. There's been such a lack of action in regards to gun control. Joe Biden is saying one thing, but Congress is doing another. No one is agreeing on what to do. We're just sitting around. I mean, I feel like with every mass shooting, unfortunately, like this is the type of shit that goes down with the media of just, the same coverage. It'll be like this for a couple weeks and then they'll move on to the next thing that happens. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about what happened here. I don't want to approach this, at least on this show. I don't want to approach this from like the typical news media of like presenting facts and arguments about gun control and all this shit. I don't want to do that. I want to talk to you guys, just Gen Z to Gen Z, about how I'm feeling emotionally. When I was first told about this news, it was at work. And I walk into work and the first thing my boss tells me is, hey, have you heard about what happened at Uvalde or in Texas? And I was like, no. He explained the situation. And the first feeling I had was nothing. I didn't feel anything when he told me that there was a shooting at an elementary school. My feeling was, oh, it happened. Okay. Mass shootings happen all the time. That was the feeling I had. And I thought about that. I was like, why did I not feel emotion when I was told that 19 kids were gunned down in an elementary school? And I was like, oh my God. I'm basically like, I felt numb to mass shootings. Even what happened in Buffalo last week, it was just, oh, it happened. Move on. Oh, Uvalde, it happened. Move on. I I struggle with that because as someone who's a member of this generation, like the first mass shooting that happened, like I could really remember, was Sandy Hook. And I was 12 years old. And I remember, or 11 years old. I remember coming home from school, my mom and dad giving me a huge hug and saying like, "We're glad you're okay." And obviously, I didn't really understand what was going on at the time, but upon further reflection and looking at Obama's speech that night, it made more sense. There was such a big event that had taken place. I mean, it was a mass shooting, and there was this mass group of people around the country that wanted to do something, and they wanted to protect our kids, which is a very valid thing to do. I think all of us do. But unfortunately, nothing happened. And over the course of it's been 10 years since Sandy Hook happened. Over the course of the last 10 years, there's been absolutely nothing that has happened in regards to gun legislation, in regards to gun control, in regards to any of this shit. And mass shootings continue to happen. I mean, Parkland, Oxford, Santa Clarita, Uvalde. I mean, I can name 4 or 5. I genuinely, at this point, I don't feel anything anymore. When Parkland happened, it shook up our entire community. It was like, whoa, like this could really happen to any high school around the country. But then there was like 5 more. And now at this point, there's so many members of my generation that just sit here and we're like, oh, well, shit. Okay, that happened. We don't feel anything anymore. I don't think society feels anything anymore. That's why it was so jolting when Steve Kerr just came out and was just seething in anger of like, what the hell are we doing? When are we going to do anything? People are dying. And he's right. There are kids who are 9 years old who went off to school and probably didn't even, think that they were going to like they probably didn't think anything of it. It was a normal routine. The last day of school is in a couple days. They're probably looking forward to their summer break. And then all of a sudden their life is gone. And it didn't register with me for it didn't register until I further thought about it. And I was like, wow, like that is so terrible. It's such an awful thing that happened in Uvalde. But I had to think about it. I genuinely feel numb when it comes to mass shootings at this point because they've taken place throughout my childhood and throughout my early adulthood here. That every single one of them just feels like it's a normal part of American culture, and there's not much we can do as American citizens because our government is so inept. So that was what I was feeling in regards to Uvalde. Was I was feeling nothing. I didn't feel like I could do anything. I didn't feel like I could be a productive member of society and actually go out and do something. I could vote. I'll definitely be voting in November of 2022. I will definitely be creating content, providing you guys with informational election content because that's just something I love to do, but also it's something that I hope that you guys pay attention to because it's important and we all need to know what's going on in regards to not only just local representatives, but in our federal government too. It's one of the beauties of living in a democracy is that we have the power. We have a certain amount of check and we have a certain amount of say in terms of our elected representatives. And I guess with Uvalde, I mean, it's unfortunate because our Congress is so inept. The House or the Senate, really, for the most part, because the House passed a bill. Can't really fault them, but the Senate is. I mean, it's not. And Kerr called out just Mitch McConnell, but this is Democrats and Republicans. Okay, let's not try to give the fucking blue, the blue side of things just a pass. I feel like it's common in mainstream media to give the blue a pass, and I've noticed this. Fuck that. No, the blue Democrats are as much the problem as Republicans, as every single senator who is in office right now, from Alex Padilla, who's the California state senator, for those of you that don't know, all the way to Chris Murphy, who's all the way in New Jersey. Every single one of them is a major issue and a major problem, and they don't do anything. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I agree with Kerr on that. I agree with Kerr that our government is fucking useless, and it's unfortunate that the people who are affected by this are the poor kids that are just going to school and doing nothing wrong, and they're affected by this inept fucking government. But what can you do? You can vote. You can do your research. You can watch the Changavi. No, I'm kidding. But you can just learn about stuff. You can, that's what I try to do, or I'm trying to do, I guess, with this show. Is not this show. This is the after show. This is where I talk about how I feel. But on the Changavi show, like, what I try to do is provide you guys resources, provide you guys information that can hopefully increase your mind on both sides, not just, one kind of a progressive side of things, but also look at the conservative side and hopefully come to a mutual understanding that, we are all just people at the end of the day, and we all have different values, and we have to respect each other, because there's going to be no way that we can just sit here and have a conversation. And like we live in a society where like having a civil conversation is difficult in regards to politics, because so many people are so against each other and have such differing views. But the reality is, like, we can have a very civil conversation. It just takes work, and it takes patience, and it takes empathy, and it takes open minds of people who are willing to hear each other out and not just trying to one up each other in an argument. Some of my good, like, and I don't mean to turn this into a political diatribe, but like some of my good friends are like are pretty conservative. They are. And I have friends who voted for Donald Trump. I have friends who are hardcore liberals. I have friends who are who are borderline communists. And I think it's okay. I think it's okay to have people. I actually think it's great to have friends who are on all different views. Yes, you may argue. Yes, you may fight. But I think it helps everyone to come to a mutual agreement and also hear each other out, because that is what the point of my show is to create a place where we can all have a civil conversation about things like this, about the fact that with Uvalde, like, I didn't feel anything, and that's terrible. I didn't feel an emotion because this shit happens so much. So what are we going to do? What can we do about that? What can I do? Vote. That's the one thing I, as an American citizen, can do. What can you do? I mean, I don't know what it is. I really don't. I think it's mostly just, taking action, doing the research, watching documentaries, watching informational pieces, reading articles, keeping up with the news. This is what you can do as an informed American citizen to be better. This is just my opinion. But yeah. And it's just unfortunate what happened in Uvalde, and it's unfortunate who was affected by what happened, because that shouldn't have happened. And it sucks. But what are you going to do? Okay. So those are my thoughts on what happened with Uvalde. And not to be an ass, but I have to transition to something more happier, because it's been a rough week for a lot of people out there, including, myself. I was going through life stuff. This stuff that happened in Uvalde. It's been a week. But this saved my week, man. The Golden State Warriors are on their way to their 6th finals appearance in 8 years. And sports isn't the end all of the world, okay? I'm not trying to sit here and act like sports can be, the cure to the world's problems, because it's not. There's probably a lot of people out there that are like, Anuj, why the fuck are you talking about this when there's bigger issues out there? But this is the after show, so I control the conversation. I tell you how I feel, okay? The Warriors are freaking phenomenal. Oh my God. listen, I know like I say things about them all the time. And I say like, oh, like they're not gonna make it far, this, that, or the other, and I'm worried and I'm concerned. But that's just me being a fan. I go through emotional swings like everybody else does. But goddamn, it feels good to be in our sixth finals in 8 years. I get it. People don't like when teams dominate the league, but when it's your team, you feel good. Tomorrow, if the New York Knicks were a dynasty, I think it would be great for the game of basketball. I think there would be a fucking half the East Coast would be so happy. ESPN would be ridiculously happy because that's the only team they decide to cover, apparently. And I think there'd be a lot of people out there who would be extremely pleased. But yes, the Warriors are in their sixth NBA Finals, and as a fan of the team, like this is so dope. I didn't think we'd be back in the NBA Finals. I genuinely was with the mentality that like, okay, if we make the playoffs this year, like it's going to be one series at a time. Like if we make it to the semifinals, that's fantastic. Like it was a great season. If we lose to the Grizzlies, like GG, John Morant, like it's time for the young ones to shine. But we're all the way back in the finals. We took out Nikola Jokic, who's the undisputed NBA MVP. We took out John Morant, who is one of the rising stars in this league, along with Jaren Jackson, who is going to be, I believe, if he can develop into his potential, going to be one of the best players in the NBA. And then you have Luka, and then we beat Luka Doncic, who like is phenomenal. He took out the number 1 seed, 63-win Phoenix Suns in 7 games, pretty much by himself. I don't know what to tell you. It's been quite the ride. And listen, I understand that it's not over. And there are a lot of fans of Dub Nation who are like, listen, it's great. We're back in the finals, but there's more work to be done. And I agree with you. There is more work to be done. It's still 0-0. We got one more series to go. We'll find out maybe potentially the winner tonight with Boston or Miami, or we will have to wait until Sunday and find out the winner then. I sincerely hope we have to wait till Sunday. So I'm rooting for Miami tonight because Boston's up 3-2. But whatever happens, and I most likely think Boston is going to win this series, NBA Finals starts next Thursday. And your boy is extremely happy about it. I'm very grateful that my team is back. And I just want to say this to Warriors fans real quick before we move on here. Enjoy the moment. I truly believe that. We went through a worldwide freaking pandemic. There were so many lives lost in the last 2 years. There's been just a lot of shit thrown at you the last couple of years. You've been forced to transition your life in various ways, and more than not, it's been tough. And I get it. But for my Warriors fans out there, don't go on Twitter and try to figure out who the next opponent is going to be and how to beat Jason Tatum's screen and rolls. You have Monday through next Thursday to do that. And I'm sure every radio show in America and every sports channel, and there's going to be so many articles and conversation and storylines and all these things. That's what that's for. But I just want to tell all Warriors fans, take the next couple days, just enjoy the fact that your team is back in the NBA Finals, where pretty much every pundit, every talking head, every analyst, every media member, pretty much most fans too thought they were never going to be back here. So enjoy it. Have a fun ass time enjoying that. And then you can move on and analyze it. But just take some time. Enjoy the fact your team is in the finals. Take a breath of fresh air. It's beautiful out here in the Bay Area. The sun is shining. And enjoy it. And savor that freaking moment. Because it's pretty cool. Okay. Listen, we're going to go on from that, and I want to talk about Jack Harlow's album because I haven't been here for a couple weeks, okay? And I know this Harlow album came out a couple weeks ago, and I want to say a few things about it. Number one is that I thought this album was incredibly underwhelming, unfortunately for me, because I'm a big Jack Harlow guy. I'm a big Jack Harlow fan. I enjoy watching the Jackman Harlow perform. He's fun. I've been throw up the his songs are catchy. I went to his concert. I enjoy Jack Harlow's music. It's a vibe. But this album overall, comparatively to his last album, was a shell of itself. It felt like he was trying to do something that he was incapable of doing. It felt inauthentic. It didn't feel like this album was like super real to who he is as a person. There were points in the album where I was just very like I was just kind of mid on it. Songs that felt repetitive. And I don't know. It didn't, like, I'm not gonna say like Jack Harlow didn't put in his full work ethic into this album, but he did. I'm sure, he's gone in interviews and said that he gave up drinking to finish the album. He's been up late grinding this album out, and I'm not trying to take his work ethic away from him, because I mean, to even create an album is a lot of it's tough. So good for Jack for even being able to make a second studio album. But Jack Harlow is, I mean, this album just left me disappointed, frankly. It felt like a collection of haphazardly put together songs. Um, a lot of really, quite frankly, just songs that felt um, repetitive, felt like he was trying to go after a style that wasn't there. I don't know. I was just kind of underwhelmed. And I'm a Harlow guy. Like I'm looking to support him. I'm looking to find something that I really like, but unfortunately, like, this wasn't it. And I waited a couple weeks to do it, right? I could have done the album review like the day after and been like, oh, this album sucks. It's okay, right? I think the day after it was fresh and I felt really emotional about it, and I probably said some things to friends that I probably would take back now, in terms of the fact that I thought it was like really, really bad. I listened to it a few more times. I, let it process a little bit, and I've kind of come to the conclusion that it was a pretty good album. It wasn't great. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was okay. It was a pretty okay album to decent album to good album. But I would say okay. If I had to say like a grade it was an okay album. It was like a C album. It was like a C minus album. But as someone, who really respects Harlow and who has also seen Jack Harlow basically be the hottest name in rap as of recently, like I really expected there to be a lot more hits. I expected the album to be a different type of vibe, really have more of that same type of vibe that he went for in his last album, but that wasn't there. Uh, yeah, that's truly how I felt about Harlow. I mean, it just, the whole thing felt a little off to me, at least. I don't know about y'all, but it just, I don't know. uh, Songs I did like, though, I really like Churchill Downs, obviously, because Drake, one of my guys. I love Drake, this. The people of the podcast know. I liked I Got a Shot. I liked I like the beat on Talk of the Town. I don't really like the verse. um Nail Tech is really good, but that was a single release before the album. So, like, and Churchill Downs was leaked before, so I'd heard bits and pieces of it. But I don't know. I just felt overall this album could have been a little bit better. And I'm not saying Jack Harlow needs to like go back in the lab and do his thing, because there's hella people that like this album, and then he's probably going to sell out his entire tour. So, like, he should celebrate it. And I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm just trying to objectively state the fact that I didn't enjoy the album. But that's not going to make me stop being a fan of his. Like, I enjoy his work. I enjoy what he's been putting out there. Let's see what's next. There's always time. Always time. Okay, let's transition to something else. Listen, have you guys heard about this news headline that's been in the news recently? Crazy Indian parent story. Listen, you may think you have crazy Indian parents, but you may not have as crazy parents as this news headline. What's going on in India right now? They're in northern India. There's this couple, and they had a kid, and they sent this kid to school out here in America, and he met a girl, or I think they arranged the marriage, to be honest. I think it was an arranged marriage. So they he went through with the arranged marriage. Everything's been going well. They're living a happy life. But all of a sudden, a couple of days ago, actually a couple weeks ago, the grandfather came out in the media and also came out to his son with a legal notice that said that his son was being sued. What in the world? Why would his son be sued? And Mr. Prasad, which is the dad's name, basically said that he is suing his son because his son is not having a grandchild. Is not having his grandchild, son and his daughter-in-law, because they're not having a grandchild. And he cited it in the Indian court as under mental harassment, and it has been a danger on his mental health, and it's been negating investment, is what he called it in the lawsuit. And this is a real headline. You can look this up. There's an Indian couple that sued their son and their daughter-in-law for the fact that they have not been able to produce themselves a grandchild. They've been married for like 5 years. I guess they haven't had a kid. Maybe they don't want to have kids. I don't know. But the parents basically sued these kids, or their kid and their kid's wife, for not having a grandbaby. And I thought it was pretty funny. And they've like moved up to the court. The trial hearing is set for the next week. So we don't know the full result of what's going to happen. But you think you have crazy Indian parents? You think your parents would sue you for having a baby? You think your parents would sue you for not having a baby? That's interesting. I talked to my parents about it, and my mom said, Anuj, only thing I would sue you for is when you grow older and make more money. That's what they said. Like she sees no need to sue me right now because I'm pretty broke, and that is totally fair. I would not be able to provide her with anything, any monetary assets. It would honestly be more debt on her part. TBH. Paying all those legal fees to get no money out of it. But this is interesting, man. Obviously, it's a crazy situation, but it's so crazy, it's fucking hilarious. I mean, someone's parents are really suing them for not having a baby. It's it's so outrageous that it's so funny. It's so funny. I mean, I cannot even believe that this is a headline in the news. I can't believe that this is even allowed. Like, imagine if you went to, like, if I went to a lawyer tomorrow, right? I'm a dad, and my son is not having a kid. And I went to the lawyers tomorrow and I was like, yo, I want to sue my son because he's not having a kid and I paid for his college tuition. Like, they look at me like, what the fuck? Like, what what is wrong with you? Like, are you tripping? Like, bro. So I mean, I don't know. It's so weird. I don't know if this is gonna go through. I don't know if what the result of this case is going to be. I cannot wait to read more updates about this because it seems like the grandparents are very much in lockstep, or the non-grandparents, actually because they're not grandparents. They're suing their kid because he doesn't have a kid. So the non-grandparents are really, going after their kid and their daughter-in-law hard. I'm interested to see what the in-laws' parents have to say about this. Like, the fuck? Like, if I had a daughter and she was married to someone like this, and and his parents were suing, I'd be like, get the fuck out of this marriage. It's useless. You don't want to be with this family. You may love the guy, but but if he's letting this bullshit stick around, like, hell no. Hell no. You got to get out of there. You got to get out of there. But I mean, all I'm saying is that, like, we all complain about having crazy Indian parents, and they may complain when we get a B, but would your parents sue you for getting a B? Is that even possible in America? Like, can they actually sue us in the court of law for getting a B, if they pay for all our stuff and if we're technically their dependent? I don't know. I don't know. It's a very interesting case to bring up, but oh well. What are you gonna do? Very funny. It's honestly quite hilarious in my opinion. But yeah, I just thought I'd bring that up. You guys could do your own research on it, but I guess my opinion is that, like, honestly, it's too funny for me to have an opinion. It's like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? oh, oh man. Oh well. What are you gonna do? But listen, I want to tell everybody this. I did a little life update recently, and I announced that I am interning with the San Francisco Giants, which is great. It's a huge opportunity for me. I'm really excited. Thank you for all the people that have shown me love since then. I appreciate it. But I want to say a couple things. This internship wouldn't have been possible without you guys. So thank you, first of all. It wouldn't have been possible without this entire podcast, to be honest. So for those of you that have actually tuned in, stayed dedicated, like really listened to my episodes, given me advice, critiques, whatever that may have been, I'd really like to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because otherwise, like, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in today to just learn a bunch of stuff and to just absorb my knowledge and, like, apply it. absorb more knowledge and apply it. I'm excited to be there. I'm excited to have the opportunity to do so. It's tiring. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next segment. But shoot your shot. I tell this to everybody. Like, I genuinely, the people ask me, like, how'd you get it? You know, how'd you land such a hard internship to land? I applied on LinkedIn one random day. It was late at night. I was like, oh, the Giants. Wouldn't it be cool to work for a Bay Area sports team? Entered my mass apply information, and a couple weeks later, I ended up getting it. So it's totally, honestly, like what I say to people is like, it doesn't matter if you're underqualified or you're overqualified or you're not qualified at all, or you're, a middle of the tier candidate. Just go shoot your shot. Create your own opportunities. Like that's what I did, I guess, with this podcast was I made that opportunity happen. If I didn't have this podcast on that resume, like of mine, like I don't think I would have gotten this. I don't have nearly the experience to do so, but I've been creating for 2 years. They know. I mean, I guess they saw the fact that I create content and I do it in a raw and entertaining fashion. I hope they enjoyed it. I don't know if they've even watched it. I haven't asked them. I should. Maybe. No, I don't know. But probably not. But I do. I just kind of shot my shot and saw what happened, and luckily I scored. And I'm lucky that I have the opportunity to do what I have done, what I've done. And it's thanks to this podcast that I even have the opportunity to like be in the position that I'm in right now. So the advice I have to like my younger kids, because there's a lot of, young ones that watch this podcast that's anywhere from the ages of like 17 to 21, 22, maybe even a little older than me. And what I say to them is simple. I haven't achieved shit in life, right? Like this is one fucking internship. In the grand scheme of things, this could mean absolutely nothing in terms of where I'm headed. But for the limited experience I do have, enjoy it. Enjoy this shit because you never know when an opportunity could come striking at your door and what it's going to do to help your life. And I've been on the job for a couple days. I'm still shadowing. I'm still learning the ropes. But I'm hoping it's going to be a good experience. I think it will. And I'm excited. And the fact I even have this experience is cool in itself. So thank you, everyone, for giving me the chance to be able to do this. Because if I didn't have this, I wouldn't be here. So appreciate it. Genuinely. Thank you, guys. But anyway, shoot your shot, guys. You never know. And shoot your shot in all aspects of life. Dating, life, career, whatever. Say no, whatever. Move on. Doesn't matter. It don't matter. It don't matter. I'm playing with this baseball because it's fun. This is actually really fun to like fiddle with. It's a good time. I might do this on the after show more often. Just like throw a baseball around. People are like, what the fuck are you doing? This is what I'm doing. All right. Enough of that. Let's go into commuting because I started commuting this week. And now I sympathize with all my engineers out there who live in the South Bay who commute to the city every day. It fucking is terrible. Commuting is ass. It's so annoying. I hate it. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm commuting for a reason. Obviously, like my job that I enjoy. But I just, oh man, it's so irritating. Getting on the train, 55 minutes, Caltrain, all the way up to the city. You get off. You're already kind of tired by the time you get to work. The caffeine has worn off. And you get into work, you're kind of tired. I wish I lived closer to the city, but there's nothing I can do about that. I can't afford rent in the Bay Area just yet. So I gotta, stay in the parents' house for a little while. But commuting does suck. I'm figuring out ways to like make the commute a little easier. Get work done, do some stuff, not get distracted. Potentially maybe get Wi-Fi at Caltrain. Come on, bro. But yeah, commuting has been pretty rough the last couple days. And it's tiring, especially when you gotta leave late at night. It's tough. It's a long train ride back home. But anyway, I mean, like it sucks, but it's you got to do it. I feel like everybody goes through their commuting phase and everyone commutes in some aspect or another. I'm envious of my tech workers who are like, my commute is 2 seconds with traffic, 1 minute to get to the computer because I'm working at my desk and working from home. Yes, yes, yes. Right. But I guess my internship is like half remote, half in person. So I guess half of the time I'll be like, my commute is 5 seconds with traffic because all I got to do is cross my chair from my bed to my desk. I guess, right? I could do that. But yeah, I guess this is like my first in-person real opportunity, career-wise, like outside of my um like part-time jobs I've held the last couple of weeks or a couple of years. Like it's a cool opportunity. And to do it, you got to commute. So I guess you got to put in the hard yards. It's fine. Like I'm not sad about it or anything. It's a tiring thing. Like yeah, the train is annoying. And I also wish I had Wi-Fi. But if any of you are listening to this and you've been ex-commuters or you've commuted before, like I would love to hear your advice. Like how do you guys get through your commutes? How do you remain like decently, especially if you have long commutes? Like how do you get through all of it? Um, how do you remain like untired throughout the entire day, because the commute can really take it out of you. I've noticed that. So I'm trying to get better, trying to be more healthy, trying to sleep more, trying to, have a perfect balance of hydration, caffeine, and food in me. But it's a challenge. It's a challenge, but life is challenging, right? So it comes with new challenges that you don't expect, but it's okay. It's cool. And we enjoy that. So why not? All right. We're going to go from commuting in my life to graduation ceremonies because I'm not graduating anytime soon. I got 2 more years, at least, I think. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. But I don't fully intend on ever attending another graduation ceremony in my life, even when I do graduate from my bachelor's degree, because I think graduating sucks. And I think the ceremony, your commencement is so boring. It's the worst. I hate it. Commencement is so crappy. It's terrible. You sit there, you're like, it's hot. It's usually in the summer. It's a bunch of people who give you speeches that you really don't care about, unless you go to a really nice school and like Will Ferrell comes and gives you a commencement address. But even then, are you really paying attention? Or are you really playing just Wordle on your phone? Then you wait for the 1,500 people to get their diplomas before you do. Get your diploma. You say hi to your family for 5 minutes before you get dragged off to some fucking party. That's how every graduation ceremony runs. And they suck, and they're boring, and they're stupid. And I just want to say this about graduation ceremonies. Why do they make you wear these fucking gowns? Who invented the idea of a cap and gown? The ceremony, like every graduation ceremony, like every ceremony, like you talk about everything, like a wedding, a funeral, like, okay, I'm not gonna say a funeral because that's, death and all that, and I'm not gonna get in the middle of that, but graduations, weddings, sometimes birthdays, like the ceremonial aspect of each one of these events is so incredibly stupidly boring. Nobody likes it. Everyone is just like, like everyone sits through the ceremony so that they can have the party after. So why don't we just party all the way through? I'm confused. What is the point of a graduation? Literally, like we could celebrate it at home. If you want, just call out my name at home. Anuj Changavi has graduated. Yay, woo, we graduated, done, made it, done. Yas, queen. Pictures on the Instagram, done. No one cares about a graduation ceremony. I want to hear one person give me a counter argument about why graduation ceremonies actually matter. No one cares about the piano procession or the choir singing or the commencement speakers, because no one remembers any of that. No one remembers any of that. What you remember is being hungover the next morning when you get lit and party, right? Or, if you're in high school, when you drink too much HIC fruit punch and get a sugar rush the next morning or whatever the fuck it is, right? That's what you remember. That's what you remember. You remember the party afterwards. You don't remember the ceremony. I don't remember a single graduation ceremony I've been through. I don't know if others do. I really don't. That's why I'm interested to hear the counter argument behind it. Is like, are there people out there that actually care about graduation ceremonies? Maybe there is. Maybe, but I sure as hell don't. So Graduation ceremonies are overrated. And the people that have to sit in the freaking stands, they have it the worst. Because we have it bad, like sitting on the actual field itself or wherever the graduation takes place. But they have it worse, the people sitting up in the stands, because they have to watch every single name go by until they hear yours. And especially if your name is at the end or the middle of the alphabet, forget it. Forget about it. People hate it. They're like, bro, why? Like, it's like A, B, C. Like, at least my last name is C, so it goes kind of quick at the beginning, and you can kind of zone out and take a nap for the rest of the entire fucking population of your high school or wherever, a college or wherever you're graduating from. But if you have like a last name that's a Z, like if your last name is Zhang, sorry, bro. That's terrible. That is the worst. I would regret going to every single graduation ceremony if my last name started with a Z. I wouldn't even go. I'd be like, yeah, fuck that. I'm not waiting 350 people until I get to mine. Or even at these bigger college ones, like entire fucking droves of people. Like, I bet you, like, at fucking UIUC, there's 5 pages of Patels before you can even get to the fucking Paulsons or, like, the other white people that graduate from that school. It's a fact. Graduation ceremonies are incredibly overrated. They take a long time, and I just don't recommend them. Why do we do them? I'm confused. What is this tradition that is with the graduation? We can just move on. Let's just move on past the ceremony. Let's just, they announce your name, you go there, yay, take a couple pictures, move on. Like the drive-through graduations they did during COVID, like I feel like 2020, they're all like, we miss graduation. Like I didn't get to do anything for the ceremony. Like, dude, graduation is the most overrated, the most incredibly stupid ceremony that you will ever go through. Be glad you didn't go through it in high school. Actually, you should be really thankful, frankly, that you didn't have that. I don't remember commencement for shit. I won't remember it. And I don't think anyone does. It's just a fact. It's a fact. Y'all are just mad. Anyway, I want to talk about this next one real quick, and then we'll finish. I got 2 more, actually. This one and then the next one, we're done. But I want to do this real quick, because This Is Us finally ended. This Is Us ended for the first time in 6 years. There will not be another This Is Us episode coming out next fall. And it's sad, but it's also weird, because I want to say something about This Is Us. This Is Us for the first... Because I started watching this show when I was, a senior in high school. It's been airing since I was like a sophomore in high school. When I first saw this show as a senior in high school, I thought it was the most beautifully, phenomenally written show I'd ever seen. I still think it's up there for being one of the best written shows, at least through the first 2 seasons. I'd say 2.5 seasons. And then it went through a big lull. And it was like, okay, we're trying to figure out, because one of the main characters passes away and all of these things. So they have to figure out how to, and I'm not trying to spoil the show for those of you that are watching or that want to watch. I'm not going to spoil it, but one of the main characters does pass away. And so you have to kind of figure out how are you going to navigate it and all of these things. And it's it's this whole situation. And so the show kind of goes its own direction for about a season and a half. Or sorry, for about a half a season to a season. And then season 4, halfway through, you start to hit a fucking stride. And it's like, okay, we're going. And then it just, season 4 just takes off. It's like, we're back. They figured it out. And then COVID hit. So the entire plot line of This Is Us got messed up, because it's a show based in the real world, so they wanted to try to make COVID a part of the storyline. But as with most shows, if you've kind of seen every show that's had COVID as a part of their storyline, it basically ends up with COVID disappearing from their universe, and they don't ever talk about it, because it's way too much of a pain in the fucking ass to make sure you have all of that right with masks and quarantine and tests and all this stuff. So it's difficult. I would have wished that they just pretended the pandemic didn't exist, but they tried. It didn't work, and it quite frankly stung the entire show after that. It rushed plot lines. It had a reverse effect. So initially it was cool when they were like bringing in COVID and you didn't think it would change anything, but it ended up changing a lot of things later down the line. You just didn't see the effects until about a year later. So that was unfortunate. But This Is Us has ended. I am super grateful that I got to watch this entire show. It was fantastic. I still highly recommend it to everybody. Mandy Moore is so phenomenal in this show. She's one of my favorites. Truly a second act of her career. Her career is reborn after this. It was she does a phenomenal job in this show. Milo Ventimiglia, who plays Jack, super good as always. Justin Hartley, I love. Chrissy Metz, Sterling K. Brown, all like this whole cast is so stacked, and they all put on great performances. And the writing is just so freaking great for most of the show that I think it's so worth that anybody watches this. And it's about family. So like if you value family or you grew up in a household where you grew up in a pretty tight family, you're gonna love this show because it's really relatable and it's frankly one of the more relatable shows to people who have like tight knit, close families because it's just that type of show. Yeah, but that's This Is Us, right? And it ended, and I just wanted to get my thoughts out there. It's it's still like even despite. And how do I feel about the ending? I thought it ended pretty weirdly, to be honest. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but it was such a bland ending. Very predictable, very safe. Just kind of like the last season was very rushed. It moved into hyperspace real quick, and then the last episode, the ending was just like I thought the end game of the show was not well planned. I felt it was rushed, and I think COVID had a lot to do with that. But worldwide pandemics aside, this show is great, and I'm glad I watched it for 6 years. It's just weird though, like having that end. And having one of the shows that I've really stuck by for a long time not going to be around. That's going to be strange. But I'll have to find some new shows because there's always a new show out there, right? Okay, but lastly, I want to talk transitioning from This Is Us to public restrooms. No, I hate public restrooms. Okay, FYI, I was having a full-on conversation with my friend about this the other day, and this inspired this topic. And I'm going to do this really quickly because I don't think anyone wants to hear me rant about public restrooms. My biggest fear in the entire world. It isn't failure. That's up there, but it isn't failure. It isn't looking like a douche. It isn't public speaking. It isn't like death. It's public restrooms. Okay. Public restrooms, for some reason, freak me out. I have held it in. I have held my business in for hours upon hours upon hours at a time so that I wouldn't have to use the bathroom in a public setting. Okay. I have held a shit for 15 hours from San Francisco. This is one of my biggest flexes of all time. Took a 15-hour flight from San Francisco to Amsterdam. I held my number 2 business until as soon as I saw a clear restroom, I ran and sprinted in there, and I just relieved myself, and it was phenomenal. It was the best I've ever felt. But I've held it for 15 hours just so I didn't have to use a public restroom. And I think there's a ranking when it comes to public restrooms. I think airplanes and like trains, like no. You don't want to use a restroom in those places. You can use a restroom in an office. You can use a restroom in some airports. Bars, hit or miss with the restroom. Some have restrooms that look like they're straight out of like fucking an apocalyptic hell. Others have restrooms that are relatively clean. Same with restaurants. If you need to pee, you could pretty much pee anywhere. It's fine. You just got to, hold in your nose and cry. But if you got to do a number 2, you got to rank it. And this is from a male perspective. I feel so bad for women out there that have to use public restrooms. I understand your guys' fear. I have a tremendous fear as a man to use a public restroom. So let alone you guys, right? It is way harder for women to use public restrooms. They're probably so freaked out by public restrooms. I don't even know if they're cleaner for women. I don't go into the women's restroom. I only use the men's restroom. And men's restrooms are disgusting. But for women, they probably hold it in longer than I have. There's probably women out there who have held it in for 24 hours on flights, long international flights before, so that they could use it in the comfort of their own hotel room or wherever it is they were going. So I understand that I'm not the only one who goes through this tremendous, cringeness when it comes to public restrooms. I just have a tremendous fear of them, and I like cringe and cry every time. But that's just me. How do you feel about public restrooms? I'm curious. But anyway, that's the end of the show. This is the end of the Changavi After Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you. If you guys like this show, feel free to like and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Spotify, feel free to hit the follow button. If you're on Apple Podcasts, feel free to leave me a review. I think you can also do that on Spotify too. So if you guys enjoyed the episode, feel free. I know this episode is a whole lot of everywhere. And, I respect you guys sticking with me. But those of you that know me know that we do this often. So anyway, I hope you guys have a fantastic week. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. This was super fun to record. Appreciate all of you. Thank you guys so much. Go Warriors. Like and subscribe. Follow me on social media. The links are going to be down below. And welcome to my Changavi After Show, which is a show about nothing and just a show about me talking shit and shooting the shit with y'all. So hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had a great time. If you stayed till the end, thank you so much. Love you, appreciate you, and I'll see you for a Changavi show. We'll actually be serious, okay? I promise. On the Changavi show, I'll come more professionally dressed, polo. We'll talk. We'll have a legitimate conversation about some various topic that I'm thinking of, and I think will be cool. So let's do that in the next few days. But until then, I'll see you around. All right, guys. Catch you later. Peace. Signing off from the parents' house in the Bay Area. Anuj is out. Catch y'all later. Peace.